Welcome, everybody. Today I am joined by a wonderful group. We're talking about Digital Divas and talking about a great STEM initiative program that's happening at Eastern Michigan University. So welcome.
Thank you.
If we can we start going around the room? We'll start with you, and can you just introduce yourselves for the audience?
I'm Skip Lawver, Professor Emeritus at Eastern Michigan University. I started Digital Divas 10 years ago, and I was the director of the Center of Academic Excellence and Information Assurance in cybersecurity there. And now I'm just enjoying retirement.
Lovely.
I'm Paulette Avolio, and I am currently with Ford. And how I got involved in Digital Divas was to partner with my Women's Professional Network and bring workshops into the school so that the young women who were attending got a hands-on experience.
I'm Bia Hamed. I am the director of K-12 Outreach, and I am the manager of Digital Divas.
I'm Stephanie Price. I am an applications engineer at Promise Incorporated, and I've had the thrill of being a part of the program since its infancy, the very first workshops.
Nice.
So.
I'm Katelyn Coberley. I'm currently a threat intelligence specialist at ITC Holdings in Novi, Michigan. I was a previous graduate of Eastern Michigan University in their cybersecurity program and grew up actually attending Digital Divas and then helping out with it later on. So this is kind of a full circle for me.
Very nice. Well, let's start with you then, because when you first started with Digital Divas, can you give me some thoughts that ran through your head? Did you think you would end up where you are today? Why were you attracted to Digital Divas and taking part in that?
I sure hoped I would end up where I am today, working and being able to share thoughts of diversity and inclusion with other females and other people just in general. Starting off from a rural school, I grew up on a dirt road, went to a school with a graduating class of 100 kids. So really getting that high school experience of Digital Divas showed me that technology was something even I could do growing up without fast internet speeds or seeing even females in the field of technology. So growing up and then becoming kind of that role model and teaching those breakout sessions and really getting people involved in experiencing STEM, not just seeing it on a TV screen or in a movie, was really formative.
I think you hit on a really good topic too, the whole experiencing STEM, because that's the whole idea behind the workshops, is giving those girls the hands-on abilities to try things that they don't necessarily get to do in a classroom setting. You know, who gets a chance to build a computer in a classroom setting? Is most schools don't even have the funds to get through all of the core values and things that need to be done just to graduate, let alone have other opportunities like that.
Absolutely. So with Digital Divas, we're always trying to build that culture of girls in STEM. We want the girls to come and feel like they're welcome and they belong and get to explore STEM without any intimidation. So seeing women such as Stephanie and Paulette come and do breakout sessions, girls can identify and role model and be mentored by these strong women who already hold degrees and majors in the field.
And when we built our teams of volunteers, we really worked hard to bring that diverse picture to our workshop. Different ages, different educational backgrounds, even different ethnicities. It was really cool for some of the young women who came to Eastern Michigan to be able to see professionals who looked like them, who spoke like them, who came from dirt roads just like they did. And so that was really kind of a cool thing.
That was one of the criteria when we put it together, is all the instructors on the breakout session had to be female. So the GIS people had to be female. You know how hard it is to find a GIS person that's female in Southeast Michigan? We've maintained, and Bia's maintained, the women focus and the role model focus, from older women to young women.
It's made it more meaningful. Also, the students take something away because they've had that connection to head, heart, and hands. But also the workshop leaders have all taken something away. I've had people who've gone back to school so that they can now teach at the secondary level. I've had volunteers who have sought out other opportunities in additional avenues to be able to pursue their passion in this space to give back to the community. So it's full circle, and that's, I think, the key to this is we all talked about how easy it is to get involved and to share your passions.
The other thing, though, that the program really brings to the kids is when you're in that age group, middle school, high school, you think you know everything, which we know that you don't know anything, but they really do. You think, okay, if I'm going to be a software developer, then I'm going to sit in a tiny cubicle and I am going to program the whole entire time, which those are the stereotypes that we have to break down because, one, women are social. And so that is a thing that really just kind of pushes them away, myself included. Someone came up to me and when I was looking at where I wanted to go in my life, they said, Stephanie, you'd be a great computer programmer. And I looked at them and I said, you're nuts. I said, I quit college as a biochem major because it was not social enough for me. And you want me to be a software developer? I'm like, no, thank you. And the person said to me, they said, keep an open mind. And so I did. And I was amazed because someone told me to keep an open mind. I took the opportunity and the chance to go into a direction that I never dreamed of for myself. And so every time I have a workshop with those girls, I try and instill that with them. You might think that you don't have anything here that would be beneficial to you, but just keep an open mind because there's more to developing software than just writing code. We need people who are inquisitive and can break things. We need people who know how to do project management so that everything flows properly. We need people who really do like logic and want to code. But all those things are skills that the girls have that they don't realize. You know, so when you bring it to their level, do you like to plan parties? Oh, maybe you might want to be a project manager. Do you like to do logic problems? Hey, maybe you might want to be a software developer. And then they start to think, and then they start to realize like, oh, there's more to this career than just sitting on a computer with headphones and typing all day long.
A lot of young ladies like the fashion industry. And we brought in the fashion people that do the programming on fabric and patterns and that. And they created dresses using the computer and the modeling stuff and gave them little dolls and they decorated the dolls and walked off. But how many people at this table ever looked inside their computer? You know?
Well, you're asking the wrong group.
When the young ladies walk in and they find a box of parts and they now have to put that together, and it's a working computer. Look at the accomplishment and the self-esteem that they develop in that 2-hour block.
Big impact.
Big impact.
Right.
And, you know, how many adults ever look inside, let alone put it together?
Yeah, it's investing that curiosity and that confidence in people of all sorts. And I think Digital Divas plays a great role in developing that confidence for young women who may not just have that role model or that experience, getting that hands-on feeling of, yeah, I can do this.
I love that it offers options. Like, we don't go in there and say, well, you have to think about a STEM career or a degree. It says, this is possible and this is an avenue you might want to explore.
Well, there's so much more to STEM than engineering or computer science or IT. Really, STEM is the way of learning and thinking. STEM teaches critical thinking and problem-solving skills. And as technology evolves, positions that were available now might not be available in 10 years. But if you have those skills and you have that ability, then you can adapt and you can change to how the world is changing. And that is key.
And applying those skills too. It's not so much just learning in a classroom, but being able to use it definitely helps.
And I think, Stephanie, you're highlighting something that's really critical. What Digital Divas is able to do because of the hands-on workshop is really re-emphasize that scientific method, that it's okay to fail. Failure just means that your hypothesis was proven false. It doesn't necessarily mean that you, as a person, have done an incorrect thing. So what we're doing in industry all the time now is proving hypotheses. The world is moving so fast, we don't know what the next step is. So we're writing tests and we're experimenting and we're talking to people and we're testing things on a daily basis to be able to prove whether or not our assumptions are correct or false.
And it is so important to get a large segment and to have that diversity as we're moving so quickly, because when you have one segment of people who are the ones doing all the development, they're going to do it based on their own background, right? I remember there was a speaker, and I've used this example many times, but she brought up the point that if you go and you sit and you try and drive a car, most of us women have to take our shoes off to drive our cars because of the way the design of the accelerator is, and we wear heels. Men don't wear heels. And who designs cars most of the time? Men. So they don't think of it. Had a woman been in that conversation and spoke to them and said, hey, wait a second, like that's all fine and dandy, but I have a 3-inch heel, and so I'm not going to be able to drive this vehicle. The conversation might have been different. Maybe the accelerator pedal would be more adjusted. But it's getting everybody to realize that your point of view isn't necessarily right or wrong. It's just your point of view. And the more point of views that are out there, then the better things become.
It's not only the point of view of a woman. It's been proven, there's research that women care more about society. So when we make those choices, we think about everybody. We're inclusive of everybody, men, women, children, and they do make better engineers because of that.
But what about the opportunities basically to have a great paying job when you graduate with any kind of a computer science or a degree in that area? Does anyone want to speak to that?
I mean, I was hired within 2 weeks of graduating college, so like that was great. I know my parents love that too. Yeah.
Very nice.
So that was awesome to have that security and be able to kind of explore where I could go finishing up my senior year in college, and actually have options. Like that was great.
Our company actually, we rely heavily on our interns. So we grow our employee numbers based off our interns. And our internships are paid positions that you have within the company. And they're doing work in our electrical, our computer, our software department, our mechanical department. They're doing work that directly is impacting the bottom line of the company right while they're still in college. That's actually one of the things that we look for is when someone comes to have an internship with us is, okay, can you work during school? I mean, we know school is number one priority, but are you close enough that you could give us 16 hours a week? Because we want to have and develop and bring that person on. So once they graduate, they have a full-time position with us.
Good to know.
I can say that from a graduate standpoint, we have almost 99% employment. And a lot of them are hired right before they even walk down the aisle and get their diploma. A lot of returning adults coming back. But I have graduates working in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Europe, Africa, and we stay connected. And one thing I do make each student do is give an oral presentation. And they say, well, we got to do this. I'm going to be a computer programmer. Because you got to be able to talk to people. Yes. You got to be able to sell a program. You got to do this, that, and the other. And we had a round table at one of the first Digital Divas, and I had all the female students up there on the stage talking about. Remember that? I think you two were there. And I said, this is it. You guys want to come and join us. And but that was, to start something like this, and it's a girls' program, and that's what I wanted it designed to be, then you surround yourself with smart women that can help design it. When I was doing the internet child pornography thing, I had to ask questions. What does a 13-year-old girl talk about? And that's who you were trying to emulate online. But these are diamonds in the rough. To continue doing it after I retired, and Bia and the rest of the support, you can't buy that today. These volunteers, they're not getting a dime out of this.
Well, it's something that's important and close to your hearts, I would imagine.
They're champions.
Makes a difference.
They are pure, simple champions.
It is a passion project. And even though there are a handful of us here at this table, we each have a network behind us that is uplifting us, that is providing their talent, that is also providing their time, and being able to, I call it the go-to gang, right? Being able to pick up the phone and and you can go to them.
You said something so important. So behind all these women volunteers, Paulette, and is Ford Motor Company. Behind Stephanie is Promise. Behind so many of them, we have GE and we have AT&T and we have Roush and we have so many more companies. Mercedes-Benz, so many. They believe in the cause. They see the need for more women in the field. That's why they let these women volunteer, come without docking their pay, without causing a day out of office. They support the program, and I do have to say, a lot of them do financially send us money too to keep the program going. And what's important to know, your viewers need to know, is no university dollars goes into this program. It's supported purely by donations, because people believe in the cause. It's unfortunate that, the segment of women in STEM is about 20%, right? Women getting STEM degrees is about 20%. Besides the sciences, we're looking at engineering, we're looking at manufacturing, we're looking at technology, 20% on average, and it's really sad. This is the lost population that we need to support, to build up, and we need more women in the sector to make design correct for everybody. I mean, what is it? 70% of women make all household decisions? I mean, but why can't we have a say-so on how these things are designed for that 70%?
Makes sense. So I just want to touch on another subject. How long does it take to foster up someone that wants to make a pivot? For instance, I've had a job, not really, but I've had a job in a certain sector, and maybe that job is becoming obsolete. I'm too old to go back to school full time because I have a family, but I need to get myself trained up, retrained in another area where I can feed myself and feed my family and be provided and feel proud and good about what I've done. So what do you say to someone who's of any age that's just not a student? Does it take 8 years to figure out how to do something and get a job in STEM? So paint a picture for someone else that is thinking about it, thinking, what do I have to invest in order to reap the benefits and continue to grow?
So I was in my 30s. I had quit college when I was a senior in college, to my parents' dismay. I think they nearly had a heart attack when I said, I'm not going to be a biochemist anymore. I mean, all growing up, that had been my goal. And I got into it and I said, this is not for me. And I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I got married. I had a family. I worked in a sales company that did sales and marketing for startup companies. So what it was is they would get their venture capital funding, and then they would hire us to make it look like they were bigger than they really were. And we would do all the marketing. So we would have these webinars, and they would come and talk about their technology, and we had a technical specialist on hand. And he would sit in on the webinars, and this was who my team was supposed to go to understand the technology. And I caught him telling my team incorrectly. And I realized that I understood the technology way better than he ever did. I would have never in a million years had thought about going into that field had I not been sitting right next to him listening. And then I had my boss at the time, her husband was a software developer. He said, Stephanie, you would make a marvelous. I said, you make a great software developer. And I told him no. But it just takes a curiosity, and then just going for it. I got my degree at 39 years old. My goal was to have my degree before I hit 40. Excellent. And I did it. And
how long did that take you?
It took me 4 years, part-time, raising 2 kids. But I didn't have to wait 4 years to work. See, that's the key thing. Once I started to have the ability and the knowledge, I got a job way before I got a degree.
Really?
Yes. Yes. And that's the key. Everyone thinks you have to have this degree and then you can start working, but not in a STEM career. There are companies out there that will work, and you don't have to wait the 4 years to start making that change. And it was huge.
I think you tapped into 3 pieces that are key. One is curiosity, and that curiosity drives you to ask, right? So if we as women don't ask, we won't know. And then 3 is to be persistent, right? For you, it took a kind of a windy path, right? But you're totally happy, satisfied, you're contributing to your community, you're supporting your family, you have your own children are grown and are seeing the potential in their lives now too. So that's awesome, well done, right? I think that's the piece. We as women tend to think we need this pedigree, we need these papers, we need all of this 100%. Confidence to be able to step into the next unknown. In my team at Ford, we allow you to come in and shadow us for a day. Just explore. Use that curiosity to explore whether or not this is something for you or not. And then if you need the means to be able to transition from doing something else into this, we can connect you with the right programs. So there's a lot of different avenues, especially in the STEM field, that allow you to be a contributor without that degree.
It's so true, because even I was lucky enough that the company I'm with now, I knew the person. The person who came and interviewed me and brought me in was the same one that said, Stephanie, you'd make a good software developer. And that's how. But my first interview with him was, Andy, I don't know that. I don't know that programming language. That's okay, Stephanie. I don't have any experience. Are you sure you want me? Like, literally, this is the conversation we're having in an interview. Like, you're supposed to be like building yourself up. And I'm over here going, are you really sure I can do this? I don't have that, like, exactly what you said. I don't have that degree. I don't have that experience yet. You know, we think in our head that we need it, but STEM careers teach you critical thinking and problem solving. And that's what people need. They can teach, if you have that, anything else can be learned while you're there. See, women have a tendency to think that all of their knowledge and everything is innate. So if they don't have it to begin with, then they're never going to have it. And we really have to change that thinking to teach people that, and especially young girls, that it doesn't matter if you don't already have it, you can go and get it. You can develop it.
So true.
So how do you ignite when you first show up and you've got a fresh crop of young girls, even boys, but young girls we're talking about, and you get a fresh crop and they're thinking, I am not the math whiz, I am not the science whiz, I don't really know if I like computers. What's that trigger? What's that one thing you've seen that gets them engaged?
Role modeling and mentoring.
Mentoring is huge.
Yeah.
Also doing things that are relatable. So like one of the breakout sessions that we did was a networking type of session, but we didn't call it networking. We called it the great selfie race. You know, what do young girls do? They take selfies. And then we had this big network on the floor with all these little numbered nodes, right? And the paths were different colors. So one was red and you had to walk in baby steps, you know, like Mother May I. One was green and you could take these giant steps, and then one was yellow and that was just regular speed. And each of them had a message. They had a segmented portion of a message, and you started at one spot and you could manipulate your way through the network just as long as you went the speed that you had to. And then whoever finished at the end, then the message came out in that order. And it was a great visualization for the girls to understand, like, oh, when I send this huge text message, why does 2 come before 1? Why does my video have to buffer? You know, I'm not explaining it to them on a board. They're walking it on a field. And
remember when we built jewelry? Took computer parts and built jewelry out of them. I think that one of the biggest amazements was the girls that would text. And we were teaching, you know, good texting, not sending pictures. Is how many people could possibly see that text? How many places that's stored? And would you want your mother or father to see the text you just sent? And no, it just goes from me to him. No. It's got about 6 stops along the way, you know? And that's an eye-opener for a lot of them.
That's an eye-opener for everyone.
Yeah.
It is.
Once you put it out there, especially on the internet, you can't really delete it.
You can't.
Never.
It's just out there.
you just think it magically goes from my phone through the air and over to the other one.
That's right. What's the biggest need for people in STEM right now, in the future, and even right now? What industries are just craving women to come out, young girls to come out and dive into their sector?
There's
Welding.
so many. There's so
welding.
many.
Some of the welding, plumbing, electrical work, all of those fields are critical. And they're starving for skilled labor. And STEM requires you to look at building a house into engineering, into mathematics, and to all those phases that you would normally think, well, no, I'm just a girl, I can't do that. And there's a million areas that traditionally we don't think about. Everyone wants to get a college education. Well, college is good, but who's doing all these other things?
Well, that goes back to like the workshops that we have at Digital Divas. They're not just digitally
Inclusive.
based, right? The last workshop we had, there was a workshop where they did it all on designing a web interface. Nothing with the background, just the design. We've seen workshops where the girls had to take newspaper. They were given newspaper and a roll of duct tape, and they had to build a chair that could support their one of their teammates.
Oh, that's a fascinating. How did that work out?
It was amazing. it was.
Did they succeed?
Every single group succeeded, and it was funny because you could see the different dynamics that had to go into building a chair. Like, one, what does a chair require? Well, it has to have 4 legs. You don't have a chair without 4 legs, I mean, maybe 3, but it has to be sturdy. And do they have a back? And what kind of chair was it? And you could see in the small groups, the leaders emerging and those who had more of a creative background, taking all the comics out of all the newspapers so the chair would be more colorful, or the group that was trying out different things before they went and built the chair. So they were looking at how sturdy it was, and so they would try something and then they would stack on, and did it crumble?
It's so important. So many little lessons learned in engineering just from one little breakout session.
Yeah, so in Stephanie's description right there, we have touched on careers in design, careers in physics, careers in being able to communicate or sell your idea to the other teams, careers in testing, and project management. What steps do you need to take? So there are an endless number of opportunities. I wouldn't say that there's one need over another. We all work together in the community. It's not like somebody leaves Stephanie's company and I'm trying to get them to come over here. What is really going to be the answer in the next, to solve the next problems that we have to face, is that ability to be able to get people from all diverse backgrounds and experiences to help us solve the problems. When we solve the problems just narrow-mindedly in one way, the way we've always done it, we're going to have the same answer to those problems and it won't work. What we really need is that ability to take from a wealth of educational age, background, beliefs, and meld them together to be able to produce these next solutions. That's where it's so exciting.
So, final message, what would you all say to anybody watching that is thinking, okay, I wasn't thinking about diving into this world, but maybe I can give it a try? What would you say for them to do as a next step of encouragement? Where would they go? What should they do next?
Have the courage to just start doing, whether it's checking out a YouTube video or Googling something or taking a free online course. Just have the courage to go out and do it. That would be my message. Sometimes it's free and easy, and it's just that first step.
Maybe shadow someone. Maybe find someone who has that job already, could be a friend of yours, and ask them if you could go to work with them one day and just see what it's all about.
Yeah. Just don't be afraid.
Okay.
And check out your local school. Almost every school has some need for a volunteer. You don't need to know the answers when you volunteer. You're really there just 5 minutes in front of the students that you're teaching. So don't be afraid.
Develop a passion,
Okay.
and see if it's going to work for you. and it's never too old to change.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, thank you very much for a little glimpse into Digital Divas and the program and what STEM has to offer. I appreciate it. And we can't wait to see what happens over the next year. We'll tune in next year for a follow-up.
Awesome.